Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to NRRL. This is the Wednesday Super League. We're here tonight for the Spanish Grand Prix. I'm your commentator, JP. Alongside me in the commentary booth is Lewis. And a real pleasure tonight for us. We have the owner of the league, Dan Lovett, joining us today to run us through a couple of the rules of the Super League. So, Dan, first of all, welcome to the stream. Pleasure to have you here. What would you like to say?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Well, firstly, I just want to thank yourself and Lewis for doing a great job. Comms have been brilliant since day one, so long may it continue. And then, secondly, I think the Super League rules, just getting it out there, what we're doing. We want to bring faster drivers and slower drivers a little bit closer together and having them race together in the same grid. So tonight we start the Wednesday Super League, and the top 10 drivers will be tier 1 drivers, the faster drivers, and then the second 10 will be from our tier 2 selection, the best of our tier 2s. And they will one respective tiers, as a usual F1 competition. But the difference will be that if a tier 1 driver, finishes in below 10th, they will minus 2 points from their total for the race. And if a tier 2 driver finishes in the top 10, then they will gain plus 2 points to their overall total. So we're hoping that will squeeze the gap a little bit and make it a little bit more competitive.
No, I do think that is a good system, and having two tiers in one race, it always spices things up, and it's more action. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be
Yeah.
interesting to see how it unfolds. And I think overall, it is the Super League. This is the one that people are going to want to watch. So having an interesting system with how it's run, and I think it all comes together for a great culmination of action.
Yeah, no, definitely. This is it. And like I say, the purpose of the league was trying to find a way for all drivers to get to race together without sort of worrying about pace. So there's something for everybody tonight. Everybody, as long as they finish the race, can score points and hopefully work as a team throughout the season as well, and bring a bit of so that there's a bit of closeness between the drivers as well. So yeah, we'll see how it goes tonight, and yeah, hopefully it goes well, and we can carry on with it.
Yeah, 100%. I'm really looking forward to commentating this one. I'm sure, Lewis, you are as well. And this hopefully should be the start of something incredible.
Brilliant. Yeah. No, thanks a lot, guys, and yeah, good luck with it, and we'll speak to you after.
Thank you very much, Dan. Speak to you later, mate.
Cheers. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care, buddy. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was our owner, Dan Lovett, coming to you live with some interesting information about the rules, the way that this Super League is going to be ran, two different tiers in one league, different point systems. It should make for some great action. The calendar, I don't have a graphic for it, so I do apologise, but I can run you through that now. So today is round one. There was not a pre-season test for this Grand Prix. We then have Barcelona today, the Spanish Grand Prix. Next week we head to Silverstone for the British Grand Prix. The week after that, the 17th of September, we head to Imola for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix, followed by the Las Vegas Grand Prix in the United States on the 24th of September. The 1st of October sees us take to the Losail International Circuit in Qatar, and our final round, round 8 of the season, sees us take to the track in Singapore on the 8th of October. Lewis, what are your thoughts on the overall calendar, and what are you most looking forward to here today?
Yeah, I think this is a great concept because then even those drivers that are in tier two that are maybe towards the back, they still have something to fight for. So the idea of points being taken off and added on for tier ones and twos, that just makes, a battle for 10th and 11th place twice as interesting because that has championship permutations. So I think it's a great idea and I'm very much looking forward to it. If I had to say, uh, my best way to describe this championship of the best of both tiers, I'd put it something akin to maybe the race of champions that you see in December of most years, or for people that are maybe around mine and your age, Jack, that grew up watching films of racing, maybe the World Grand Prix from Cars 2. It is the one that you want to watch. I mean, ideally, we want you to watch every single race that we have because they're all fantastic, but this is our top tier.
Exactly that, and I think the World Grand Prix is a great comparison to that. It's all of the drivers from all of the tiers culminating in one big festival of racing, all fighting for the championship. And like you say, every driver is going to score points if they finish the race. They're going to be able to work together to try and secure the Constructors' Championship. We've obviously got the Drivers' Championship as well. Overall, I think there is so much to fight for and play for in this tier and in this division of NRRL. This is really one to keep your eyes on. Now today we have a short qualifying followed by a 33 lap race. I would like to give a big shout out to Zazoom21 for following the channel. Thank you very much, buddy. Welcome to the family. As we now load in for our 18-minute qualifying session. Now, Lewis, like we say, this is the best of the best drivers in NRRL all fighting for one prize, for the same piece of tarmac to cross the line and reach the checkered flag first. In this qualifying session, you can see the grid on your right-hand side. Who are you looking for? Who are you keeping your eyes out on to take the maiden pole position in the Super League?
Well, of course, there's some new drivers here that we haven't been introduced to yet, or I certainly haven't. You may have since you have been doing more races, but instantly now my mind would have to go to the ones that we regularly see on at the weekends, which is, your Meldrums, your Dan Lovett's. Dan's going to want to have a big point to prove. This is his league, the top tier of his own league. He's going to want to show that, it's why he's the owner. So I think there's a big expectation on him. Maybe a little bit of pressure, but, there's plenty of sayings with pressure. Pressure is for tires. So I'm sure he'll be very keen to show everyone what he's made of tonight.
Exactly that. Pressure makes diamonds, and I think we have got an absolute mine of diamonds in this session today. I must say, from my personal experience, I'm definitely looking at people like F1 Mikey, who we know as McKellar so far. We've got BP Ace, who I know personally, a good friend of mine. He is also very quick. People like I Have No Grip, sorry. He's shown a real turn of speed in recent races. BT, who is currently in the fight for the championship on Sundays. Dan Lovett, again another one in the fight for the championship on Sundays. We've got people like Meldrum, who we know has an incredible turn of speed when the conditions are right for him. And overall, I think it's very difficult to try and choose one driver that is really going to come out on top here. It's just going to come down to the track, the preferences, the setups. But overall, this is going to be absolutely incredible. 17 minutes left of qualifying, and we've got most of the drivers coming out now on track to set their first laps. Obviously, I would like to give a big shout out as well to the Sundays division. Last round of the season on Sunday, it's our 100% race tier, or one of two 100% races tiers, and we have got 7 points in it for the Drivers' Championship between 3 drivers, BT, Dan and Sab. If you are going to watch any NRRL action this week that isn't the Super League, you need to be there on Sunday, because this championship fight is going to be absolutely impeccable.
100%. And having watched most of the races, having covered most of the races, it has to be, even in my, 5 years of actually racing myself, our Sunday division has to be my favorite season I think I've ever seen in the league races that me and you have both done over the years. It's been so incredibly close with those guys at the front. Some incredible racing. And as you said yesterday to me off stream, no repeat winners.
Yeah.
So that is going to be quite an interesting fact of we're 6, 7 rounds in and nobody has won twice. So you would expect those 3 at the top of the championship will be looking at that thinking, well, a win practically will guarantee you the title.
Exactly that. It is Sab that leads by 6 points to BT. It is then 1 point between BT and Dan. So even if you're not winning the championship, there's still that chance to try and get into second, try and stay away from third. But 7 points in the championship fight, incredible. We've got a 5-place grid penalty for Azpek for a collision with a raise. I'm not sure where that happened. I'm currently watching BT, who is the first man to set a lap.
I believe I might have caught what happened. There was BT and Azpek with another car. I can't recall who it was. That were all going slowly. I think Azpek was trying to let someone through and maybe just a slight collision. BT, that clearly didn't affect him. 13-0, though. Josh, 12.5. so a lot faster. But one thing I'd like to bring up here is, as we've both spoken about our favorites, you talk about your BPA there, your Mikey, and obviously those guys that are in the Sunday tier, will it help them having that experience of battling for a championship? You say somebody like BPA who's just joined the league. I've fought against him for a championship. I believe you have as well at one point, and he's just relentless in those championship fights. So I think you're absolutely right that a big focus would go on him because he is a very talented driver. And up against those Sunday tiers, it's going to be very intriguing to see how much can he take the fight to them because I don't think there will be anyone that runs away with it here. I think it will be very close.
I do agree, and I mean the calendar only being 8 races means every point matters, and anyone could go anywhere. As BP Ace goes into 4th place with a 12.9. While we were speaking about that, Noah 48 took provisional pole position with a 1:12.537. Great lap from the Aston Martin driver there. We've got a few more people on laps now, so we'll see the times probably start to tumble, especially as the grip comes up through the session, the track evolution, helping the drivers along, willing them along, giving them more grip. But I must say, I do think it is going to be really close because, like I mentioned, it's only 8 races in this season. So every point is going to matter so much to everyone because there isn't going to be that opportunity to try and gain points back if you lose them with a DNF or you get a time penalty and that drops you down the order. We know in NRRL time penalties can win or lose you a race. We've seen it in nearly every race that we've covered, Lewis. Time penalties are always a factor for position, and people may cross the line in first, second, third. They may end up 11th, 12th, 13th. So it's really crucial to try and stay in the track limits. Catalonia is incredibly hard to try and stay in the track limits. It's not the easiest track for less experienced drivers. And, you know, you mentioned the Sundays tier, and you've got people like Dan Lovett, BT, who are experienced in that championship fight. It's going to be crucial for them to have that experience because this is the Super League. This is the one where you want to win the championship. This is the golden prize. These are the crown jewels of NRRL. And if any driver is going to want to win anything, you're going to want to prove yourself in the Super League.
Absolutely. This is the one that when people join the league, they will look at and go, who was Super League champion? And that's, the dragon you have to chase. So whilst all the other tiers are, of course, definitely not understated, this is definitely the one that you want to have on your accolade list because it's our most important one. And the quality in the field that, if you do win this title, you won't have won it by luck. You will have had to earn it.
Sean, with a great lap, goes to the top of the timesheets. And interestingly enough, he did multiple laps on those set of softs. So is that just track evolution? Is that just a better strategy where you should be doing more laps on your soft compound tyres? Because Sean, 3-lap old softs, and he's done a 12.3. He is 2/10ths clear of Noah. So it's incredibly interesting to see that that is the strategy he's chosen, and it's taken into the top of the timesheets. Here we have Aspec, who is now coming around the final corner, a driver I don't think I've commentated over, goes P2, very close to Sean after only doing 1 lap. So maybe it is just pure pace from Sean. But what we have seen, and I do feel a bit bad bringing this up, Sean has been absolutely incredible in qualifying in other tiers, but he does really struggle on the starts. What have you seen, Lewis?
I was just talking about Sean there. He's just almost crashed in the pit lane, coming back into the pits. Whilst he does have that pace, he is definitely finding the limits of what his car can do. I saw, a little half spin of the hairpin on his in lap, and at the pit lane there, nearly spinning into the wall. So he's definitely right on that limit, somewhat even past it of what he can do, which is probably a better thing to find out in qualifying what the limit is than not know going into the race and then crash. Because like you say, 8 rounds, if you lose one of those races where you don't score points, it then becomes a lot harder. You see, 7 races left, and then you're like, there's a little bit less chance. So every point, as you say, becomes far more important because you don't have the chance to win them back.
Exactly that, and it's interesting the fact that it is such a short calendar, because it means the drivers need to be on it immediately. You can't have a day off, even though this is only round one. If you want to win this championship, you need to put your foot down and let people know your intentions. And that is something that people like Sean, Aspec, Noah, Josh are currently doing. BT currently on a lap. He's 31 milliseconds off of his personal best first sector. But what I'm trying to say is you need to show your intent. You need to prove to these other drivers, I am here to stay. I am here to win this championship, and there is nothing you can do about it. You need to strike that fear into your opponents, because if you don't, you're just going to get walked over. Like Dan said, like you've said, like I've said, this is the best of the best in NRRL, and you are not going to win this through luck. You need to win this through your own experience, your own racecraft, and your own pace. As we've now got Noah, who is on a lap, sets a purple middle sector, and he is absolutely flying in the Aston Martin. Number 48 on the Aston Martin as he now comes through the final couple of corners here. Aston Martin evidently working well in the heat of sunny Spain. Overtake enabled to the line. Can he take provisional pole? Yes,
Wow.
he can. It's only by about 0.5 of a second, but that is all the margin that he will need. Incredible lap from the Aston Martin driver.
Fantastic stuff. He seems to be very much enjoying what he is producing out on track there. And another thing I'd like to point out here, which is something that we're becoming accustomed to in qualifying sessions here. Look at the gap between the top three. Just over 0.5. It is so tight between everyone that you really can't make mistakes. There's no hiding place here. And in a tier like this, being that close to pole but not getting it is just gutting.
Oh, I was just on board with Sean. Sorry, Lewis. I was on board with Sean. He was 31 milliseconds up in the first sector, which would have seen him get very, very close to provisional pole. But he ran very wide out of what I like to call Hamilton-Rosberg corner. Just went a little bit wide, dipped a wheel onto the grass, and round went the V-carb. He is definitely pushing the limit. It's like you say, you saw him pushing the limit into the pit lane. Well, that was most certainly pushing the limit. Unfortunately for Sean, that limit was crossed.
Easy mistake to make. We've all done it at Spain, and it's one that just, you don't really do anything different when it happens. You largely take the same line, and sometimes maybe you just brake a little bit too late, one wheel and you're round. But like I said, I think it's better for him now. I mean, in an ideal world, you don't have mistakes in either session. But if you want to have one in, you want them to be in qualifying, because you at least find out where your limits are at a track like this, which pushes it with how narrow it can be at certain times. And with, of course, not with the benefits of most modern tracks where you have lots of runoff. A lot of the runoff here is just dirt and gravel, which is, I think, the better way to do it, especially on the game, because then it punishes those mistakes. But I believe he's going again, although I don't know if he's going for an in lap. I don't know if he'd have time to do, although he's just under 1/10 down, so he might just stick on with this lap. But I still think he'll be relatively happy with where he is now. If he can just iron out those mistakes before the race, he is well in with a shot.
Exactly that, and it is a very, very long run down to turn one. So starting second, starting third definitely isn't the worst place to be, because you get such a slipstream. You can punch through the air with the car ahead, and into turn one, it is a great overtaking opportunity, whether you go down the inside, round the outside. As there we see Sean going round again after setting a purple middle sector. So he is really pushing the limits of that V-carb there. Manages to just get himself out of the grass, and he will continue on in this session now. Aspec is now on a lap and will be going for one, and his teammate is actually giving him a tow here. Meldrum giving his teammate a tow down into turn one, so we will stick on board with the lap of the Red Bull. He's only just over 0.5 off of provisional pole position, and he is flying as well with the tow from his teammate as he comes to the end of the first sector, and he's 0.2 up is the Red Bull driver. And this would be an absolutely storming lap if he can continue with this pace. We'll stick on board with him. But the Red Bull, they say the drink gives you wings, so does the car. Aspec is absolutely flying here in Catalonia tonight. as he now comes to the end of the middle sector. What will the Sector 2 split be? The Red Bull is working absolutely beautifully now. To the end of the first sector, he's half a second up, is the Red Bull driver. And only with a few more corners to negotiate. He is really setting the timing towers alight. Incredible stuff from the Red Bull driver. And while Sean is trying to push the limit and make mistakes, Aspect pits.
I have no idea what... He must have seen something we haven't, because he seemed like a dead certain for pole position there. And does he think that that lap isn't going to be good enough if... to do that lap, then come back in and sit in the garage? Maybe, but I don't exactly know why you would head into the pits after a middle sector like that. BT a 10th up in the first sector, middle sector 2 tenths up as well. Down in P9 here. So one of our Sunday division title contenders. Where can he put his McLaren? As now he comes through the final couple of corners. Round the final corner. ERS on. He goes P4. A 4/10 improvement. So just behind Azpek. But I would imagine that those top 3 will still have plenty of time left as BT. I believe he's trying to get back to the pit lane quicker. But it should set up for a very intriguing last couple of minutes here.
Exactly that. Noah is going to be the first man to set a lap. He's currently on his out lap. Then we've got Aspec and Sean, who are still in the pits. And I can't see how long we've got left because of the yellow flags. But I don't imagine it's that much time. We've now got Aspec, who is coming out. He is going through turn 1 now. So he will be the second to set a lap. Is Sean coming back out? That's the real question, because we know that he has the pace if he can hook the lap up. We know Aspec was absolutely flying. We know Noah is already flying. He is currently on his lap now, I believe. He is going for it now. A 12.330 is the time to beat. And Noah will be the first man to step up to try and beat his own time. Into turn 1, swings it in nicely. Car is working well. Let it run wide. And now through the ever long turn 3, just waiting to fully get the power down. And now to the Sector 1 split. He is 15 milliseconds off his best time. He's dipped a wheel into the grass. That might cost him a little bit, but probably not too much as he now brakes downhill. Gets it turned in nicely. Use the exit curb. Using the track as much as he can. Into this very tricky little left-right here. Always easy to break traction, but he's negotiated it well. Through the easily flat right-hander now with the DRS on. Sector 2 split coming up. What of Noah? He is a 10th up on his lap. He runs it wide once again. Noah is absolutely flying. And while Sean and Aspec will be up to try and beat this lap time, he is going to try and put as much distance as he can between himself and the 2 behind him. BT will not have another lap. But what of Noah as he now comes to the line? It is a half a 10th improvement. He is exactly a 10th up on Sean's lap. Now over to you, Aspec, who now takes the reins of the qualifying session and tries to beat that. Very wide out of turn 1. I don't imagine that was the optimal line. Actually grazes the grass as well on the inside of turn 3. To the Sector 1 split he comes now. 46 milliseconds down. And we know that milliseconds are what are going to differentiate pole position and potentially even third. Sean has begun his flying lap now, and we will stick on board with him as he gets to the Sector 1 split. He has been rapid through Sector 1 in this session beforehand, and he is half a 10th up. All of the times are absolutely tumbling. Back on board with Aspec now to the middle sector split. He's nearly 2 tenths up, is Aspec. You just cannot call it. Noah is not on a lap. That will be his final chance, I believe. Aspec will be the next driver to try and set the timing towers alight and take pole position as he comes round the final corner now. DRS wide open. Aspec goes to pole position with a 12.1. That is your session over. Now what of Sean as the baton now swings to him? The big Red Bull has just taken pole. What can the sister car do? As now, round the final corner he comes. He's going to get a slipstream from the Aston Martin. Can Sean take it? No, he can't. He was 67 milliseconds up on his lap, but just wasn't able to improve. Incredible end to qualifying. Aspec on pole.
Fantastic lap from Aspect there. Like you say, you just couldn't call it towards the end, as Sean looked like he was doing well, improved well, but not enough to even unset potentially P2. But down into turn 1, this is going to be very, very intriguing between Aspect, Noah, and Sean. This very much is reminiscent to me of Vettel, Verstappen, and Hamilton at Mexico in 2017. All three very, very close to each other in the timing sheets. How is it going to fare into turn 1? A very, very tight turn 1 that very quickly the outside becomes the inside. It's going to be a very, very interesting first lap. With these three as close as they are, all know that they can take the lead. And as well with BT and Josh, they're not strangers to leading races. We could have a potential 5-way fight going into turn 1.
And incredibly as well, the top 9 is different teams. You've got Red Bull, Aston, RB, McLaren, Williams, Ferrari, Alpine, Haas and Sauber. All duking it out at the front. The only team that isn't there is Mercedes. Big Bruiser is the lone Mercedes driver today. He finds himself down in P16. But that is your order then. Aspec from Noah, Sean Beattie, Josh Rendog, I Have No Grip, Mikey, Dan Lovett, BP Ace, Kevin Baker, Race Chase, Wiz Jokies, Meldrum Arrays, Big Bruiser and Paul Codd. But what a fight at the front it was. But when it mattered, Aspec setting the pace. But what I didn't realise, Aspec has a 5-place grid penalty, Lewis.
Wow. So whether that is going to be applied or not, or whether we will move lobbies, I'm not too sure. But if that is to stay, that is a big indicator on the race, because that would put him behind Rendog in P6. But I don't think, as frustrating as it would be, given how close everyone is, they're going to be slowing each other down. So I don't think that should hurt him too much. The only problem is that a track like Spain, it's very, very difficult to overtake. You only have 2, maybe 3 real opportunities to pass. So he's going to need to have a great reaction time, a great launch, try and jump a couple of people at the start, try and find himself maybe in third at turn 1, and then he can go and attack the top 2 with DRS. But if he doesn't have the best of starts and finds himself 6th or 5th, it could be a very, very long 33 laps for him.
Exactly that. And I must say as well, I've just heard from the owner that only one Tier 1 driver didn't make the top 10. So the standings are relatively showing of the tiers. Very interesting there.
And I would like to think that maybe the one that the Tier 2 driver that picked the Tier 1 into that top 10 will be very, very happy with that, as I think that would be the aim for Tier 2, to try and maybe get 2 or 3 of the Tier 2s into that top 10. Although if you're the Tier 1 that isn't in that top 10, you need to get in it straight away, because being on -1 or -2 points to start the season is diabolical.
Well, I've just received the grid. Now, we do need to make sure that we remember that Connor is reserving as a Tier 1, Race Chase is reserving as a Tier 1, Dan Lovett is reserving as a Tier 2. So the grid is as follows. In McLaren, the Tier 1 driver is Bo, the Tier 2 driver is Murray Elliott. For Ferrari, the Tier 1 driver is BP Ace, and the Tier 2 driver is Rendog. For Red Bull, the Tier 1 driver is Aspec, the Tier 2 driver being Meldrum. For Mercedes, the Tier 1 driver is Sab, the Tier 2 driver is Big Bruiser. For Aston Martin, the Tier 1 driver is Noah, the Tier 2 driver is Alfie. For Alpine, the Tier 1 driver is I Have No Grip, and the Tier 2 for Alpine is Kevin Baker. The Tier 1 for Haas is McKellar, or F1 Mikey now, and the Tier 2 is Wiz Jokies. For Racing Bulls, the Tier 1 driver is Sean, with the Tier 2 driver being RJ Batten. For Williams, Tier 1 will be headed by Josh, and Tier 2 will be Paul Codd. And then for Sauber, Tier 1 is Lewis Inns, and Tier 2 is Mr. Jabe. So that is your grid then. Obviously, we know a few people aren't here tonight. We've got a few reserves who will score points, however, won't be racing every week, so they probably won't be a factor in the championship, which is quite big actually, because Dan Lovett and Connor, who we were both saying would be contenders for the title, aren't actually in the Super League.
Yes, definitely. And I think that could maybe add another focus onto those who are in it and are fighting for other titles, because you can get stretched quite thin here. You know, what is going to be your priority? The title that you have that you are pretty much on the verge of winning, or at least having a chance to win, or a brand new tier, although that tier being the highest one you can win. It's a very, very difficult balance, but I'm sure, you know, quality drivers will find a way to balance them, and I'm sure they'll do just that.
Exactly. Now, it's quite interesting always round one of the first season, because you really don't know what you're getting into. All we can judge these drivers off is qualifying. And we've seen the pace from the likes of Aspec, who will be starting P6. So that promotes Noah to pole. That promotes Sean to second, BT to third. What of turn one? It's such a long run down to turn one. And then it's such a great overtaking place. You can go down the inside. You can go around the outside. There's so many options, and we will only know when those fabled 5 lights go out.
Absolutely. And I think that as somebody that's had a fair share of season openers, you just want to get in there, score some points, and, you know, gradually build up your momentum. But in a season like this, where there isn't that chance, you know, normally there's 15, 16, 17 races, you have to just start as if you are ending. So every race is that critical. You need to feel like you have to win this to win the title, because if you don't start quick, you will get found out very easily.
Here we go then, here in Catalonia, the 5 red lights ahead of the drivers. And they were held for a long time, but it's lights out. And away we go. Noah does get away well from pole position, but Sean is really coming at him into turn one. Drivers jockeying for position in behind, but into turn one we go, and Sean with a big snap of oversteer. That lets Noah get away early. Josh is up to second place. Sean down to third. Aspec already up to fourth as BT's losing positions. Down at the back, we've got Meldrum and Kevin Baker who made contact, and they are really lagging behind at the minute. But the dream start for Noah, a great start for Aspec, as now he's going down the inside of Sean. I believe Aspec might have some damage, and there we even see more contact between one of the Ferraris. That was Rendog, and there's all chaos and kerfuffle going on in behind, as we've now got BP Ace off the track. A lot of drivers with damage as well. Chaos all around, but for the front two, it's the ideal start. Noah gets away from pole cleanly. Josh gaining positions. Contact there between Aspec and Sean as he muscles his way past the V-Carb driver. Dan Lovett, with an opportunist move, manages to get through there. But Aspec, that was a little bit on the limit, trying to get past Sean.
Very much feels like they were racing in a demolition derby there, but you love the passion that all these drivers are fighting with. CRBT made a huge mistake there, and Aspec is right on him. Can't quite get the move done. There is a bit of contact. He doesn't take to the escape road, which he probably should have. Loses position to Dan. And Dan here done very well to just ease his way through some of these collisions without getting into them himself. And now we have a huge train here from P3 down to P8.
Sean is really going for it here, but he is struggling for grip. Just lost the position to F1 Mikey, and Aspec with that damage will be struggling as well. Dan Lovett, like you say, great opening couple of laps. He's up 5 positions. Big Bruiser is up 6. Paul Codd up 4. but this is where the train is going to start to form. But for the front two, they are running away with this one very early on. 2.2 second gap to BT in behind, and that is only growing. Aspec with the damage as Josh now picks up a 3-second time penalty. That will be music to Noah's ears out in the lead as we now move on to lap 3 of 33 here, and the DRS is enabled. Here comes Aspec now on Dan Lovett, draining the overtake, draining the ERS. He looks to the inside of the Sauber driver, and he's nearly gone into the back of CRBT, but a great calculated move from the Red Bull driver. He is now up to 4th, and now Dan Lovett is under pressure from F1 Mikey. Down the inside into turn 4 we go. Is a Haas going to be able to make the move? Dan Lovett hangs it around the outside here. Great wheel-to-wheel action between the two drivers. Now back down the inside we go with Dan Lovett, but it looks like Mikey has got that move covered off, but maybe not, as they're still wheel-to-wheel now. Into the middle sector we go. It's so hard to go in here, and Lewis, you've seen something.
Sean off the track. I saw him somewhat fall down the field. I wasn't on board with him at the time, but he has gone off at turn 5. He's now back on the track and is now behind Arrays and Paul Codd. But a nightmare start for him. It all looked so promising at the start, and it is unravelled in those first 3 laps. The lucky thing for him is 30 laps left to go, as now straight will have DRS. He's not burning. Josh managed to get past him down into turn
Aspec.
1 on, as you say, there comes Aspec.
Round the outside goes the Red Bull driver, very close between the McLaren and the Red Bull, but Aspec manages to barge his way through and into the podium positions. Now the interesting factor will be, can he try and gain on the two leaders without the DRS and with damage? We've seen that he is absolutely rapid, but now BT is coming back at him, and he is going down the inside, and he gets the move done. So this fight is not over yet, and all the while this is just pulling the two leaders away, as again Aspect down the inside. They make a little bit of contact. He is bullying his way through the field, is Aspect, and manages to get the move done. On board with BT again, towards the inside. He goes down the inside very, very late on the brakes from the McLaren driver. They are going to be wheel to wheel once again. A great shot here from the helicopter. And the McLaren gets his way through back up into 3rd. But the battle is far from over yet. And Mikey is joining in the party, as now to the main straight we go. DRS will be enabled for Aspect. Still on board with this helicopter shot. Incredible camera angle here. And down into turn 1 we go. Aspect looking for the move. Mikey's getting involved. The two Saubers are wheel to wheel. As round the outside we go again. Even more contact between Aspect and BT. He manages to hold the position. Does the McLaren driver. Incredible stark defense there from BT. One of the more experienced drivers in NRRL. Great driving. But Aspect is not going to let this go without a battle. Is now to the outside he goes. Looks to sweep round. That front wing damage won't allow him to do that. And they will stay 3rd and 4th for the time being.
An incredible battle. Aspect doesn't like to yield, does he? These two are... It very much feels like either they're going to be fighting like this the whole race, or eventually they're going to take each other out. Very much feels like Baku with Verstappen and Ricciardo. As round goes Aspect. Was he hit there by Mikey? I can't say I saw from the angle I was with.
Mikey trying to break late to get the move, the defensive move done on Dan Lovett, going into the back of Aspect. That's let BT go clear, and Aspect is now diving into the pits. So after that contact with Mikey, he's decided that enough is enough. He does not want to battle these guys anymore. Very early pit stop for the Red Bull driver, but BT now gets a bit of his own clean air. Mikey and Dan Lovett with Race Chase and Wiz Jokies in that fight. 2 Hasses versus 2 Saubers.
And still the top 2 very, very close to each other. Very much seems like a DRS train going on here, which if you're in Noah's position is probably the smart thing to do at this rate. Just stay behind. Don't burn up your tyres too much. Stay in that DRS and just get pulled along and then make your move at a later stage. Obviously, he doesn't have to overtake him on track at this current point, but of course, with 26 laps to go, or just over 26 laps to go, you can't leave that to chance at this current stage. So he does have a lot more battery than Josh. Could he potentially look for a move down the main straight? 7/10, so it seems unlikely. We will stick on board here though, or I will anyway. And here they go then. So DRS overtake. He turns overtake off, still gaining towards turn one. Is it enough? Doesn't seem like it. So Josh just keeps hold of that lead for now. But 25 laps to go, Jack. If you're in Noah's position here, do you take what I've just said and just stay behind for another few laps, wait to see how the strategy unfolds, or do you make your move now?
Well, I will let you know in a sec, because Sean is round at turn 1 again and down to plumb last. He re-enters the track, but there is damage to that V-carb. Round at turn 1, big damage on the front wing of the V-carb. He is really going to struggle. He will have to come into the pits. And Sean's race, he started so well and it looked so promising. And I believe as well, he may have a puncture. So Sean's race just going from bad to worse. He is in plumb last and I believe being lapped potentially now by... I'm not sure actually. It says he's last, but he might have already been lapped. I'm not sure. But to answer your question, Lewis, I am just doing exactly what Noah is doing. I'm going to let Josh drag me along away from BT. I'm not going to look for any overtake if it's not 100% on. And I'm just going to let myself get further away. Josh has the penalty. We don't need to worry about him. But it looks like Noah's got the complete opposite idea. Because he's going down the inside as the Aston Martin driver. They are going to battle it out into turn 1. Wheel-to-wheel action between the Williams and the Aston. And the Aston manages to muscle his way past and up into the lead. As we've got a virtual safety car now. And I believe that is for Kevin Baker, who is beached in... I'm not sure where that is on the track, to be honest. It seems like he's backwards somewhere, and he has been disqualified for parking in a dangerous place. I believe that car was beached there.
That's at just off the hairpin at well, I don't know which turn number it would be, but in sector 3. So given how that car looks, I can't quite understand how he managed to get in that position.
Sean has retired in the pits, and the man that really looked good in qualifying and was on for a potential pole position ends his race on lap 8 of 33. Heartbreak for the V-carb driver, and that is only going to compound his chances of a first world championship. We're on board with Aspec now, who is looking to come back after making that early pit stop. Sitting behind these drivers will not be aiding his attempt of a win, and he goes down the inside. A bit of an unusual overtaking place there, but he gets both moves done and is up into 12th.
And the one thing I wanted to point out here before that virtual safety car is we were looking at Josh and Noah just pulling each other along. They're not really gaining away from BT. That gap at 5 seconds is just staying there for now. Comes down every once in a while, goes back up again. They're not really gaining away, so they seem to be just out of that undercut range. But that could be a very interesting point that I'm sure they're going to be somewhat concerned about towards the parts of the race where they begin to think about when they will pit, because a slight mistake in your pit stop and BT's right on you.
Exactly that. We're just on board now with race chasers. We've got Kevin Baker I believe he's left the session. We've got a Mercedes round. That's Big Bruiser. And that is out of turn 4, I believe. The Mercedes has gone round. I don't believe that was contact. I believe the car has just tumbled. He's on the soft compound tyres. We'll look now. He has been on those since the start. And here in sunny Spain, those tyres will have taken a beating. And he will be struggling. You would imagine he will be into the pits relatively soon. Watching Josh now trying to chase Noah down. Nothing doing into turn 1. But BT is slowly pulling that gap down between himself and the leaders. The McLaren, evidently with a lot of confidence and grip, he is really bringing the fight to the leaders now as the gap I think a lap ago it was 5 seconds, now 4 seconds.
Yes, I think he's very much seen that he could have a role to play when those pit stops come, and he's just trying to get himself into that window to where the top two will be thinking about him as well when they make their stops. It tends to be about 3 to 4 seconds to be in undercut territory. He's 3.6. So if he can just get himself a little bit further in there, then he definitely will have a part to play towards the end of this race, as the top two are coming up to Meldrum here, lapped car. So obviously he will jump out of the way for them. Shouldn't interrupt them too much. As Noah pits. So here we
Noah
go then.
into the pit lane then. Josh stays out. That is the undercut attempt from the Aston Martin. BT also stays out, as does Mikey, as does Race Chase. So Noah is going to fall down the order here. What tyres will be going on to the Aston Martin? It is the hard compound tyres, and you would imagine that will be until the end of the Grand Prix. So where will he come out? We see BP Ace. He's going to go past him. His teammate Array's a little bit too far behind, and in 9th position, Noah will emerge. Aspect sets the fastest lap, but crucially for the lead of this race, Aspect has not been able to undercut Noah.
As Josh manages to clear the Red Bull. So the attention very much turns to when do these top two pit? Because with Noah already in there, I'm sure the hard tyres, they tend to go fairly well around Spain. And a track like Spain is very, very hard on the tyres, especially the softer compounds. These two, I would expect, should be pitting in the next 3 or 4 laps. I'm on board with Josh here. We'll just see, does he go into the pits now? He does.
So Josh comes into the pits. BT decides to stay out and will inherit the lead of this Grand Prix. He is looking for the overcut. Mikey is very close behind the McLaren, and they might see themselves battling as Mikey is on the harder compound tyres. As we now see Josh come into the pits, you would imagine hard compound tyres for the Williams, but no, he goes on to mediums again. So Josh, that confirms he's two-stopping, because he started on the mediums, out on another set of the mediums. Josh has managed to, Noah has managed to clear him, the gap at about 1.7 seconds between them. But Josh going for the two-stop, Noah going for the one-stop, that really throws a spanner into the works. What strategy will be better?
He's banking on a two-stop, I would expect. Or he is banking on a safety car for that two-stop. He, I think, is very much expecting either a virtual or a full. It's very rare that we don't get one in one of these races, even the 50% ones, as he is not going to be in DRS range this time. But if Noah can't clear BP Ace here, which he can't, he's going to be in DRS range. So BT does pit. He should come out a little bit behind Josh and Noah, as DRS again then for Noah. But Josh is also right here. So 3 ways down into turn 1. Who's going to come out in front?
BP Ace is going for it. It doesn't look like there's going to be much of a move on there, but Josh on the mediums is really feeling the grip of them and is gaining on Noah very, very quickly. If there is to be a safety car towards the end of this race, Josh will be absolutely laughing. I would imagine the strategy he's going for is medium, medium, soft, as that should be
you would expect
capable. So. I wouldn't imagine he'll go medium, medium, hard in a 50% race. But Josh just sitting behind the Aston Martin for now, although I think he made a little bit of a mistake through there and has lost the DRS.
Yeah. And now, a very intriguing point here for BT is he's trying to, obviously he's now got 2 cars in between Josh and himself. On those hard tyres, he is pushing quite hard, but the balance here is he doesn't really want to punish those brand new tyres. They've got to get him to the end of the race, of course. So it is effectively a reverse version of Budapest, where he's got to either build up that gap and get back towards the top two, or stick where he is right now and don't let those tyres burn out.
Exactly that. Aspec is now 2.2 seconds behind that battle. BT 2.1 seconds behind Aspec. The question is, can Aspec go to the end of the race on these tyres? I think it would be a struggle for the Red Bull driver. But I mean, we've seen the pace that he can carry. Has he taken too much out of them, though? We see I Have No Grip currently leading from Rendog. They are both yet to pit and will inevitably lose position to Noah once they both come in for their mandatory pit stop. Noah and Josh still fighting away. Aspec 2.1 seconds behind this battle now, but Josh needs to get this move done as soon as possible and try and find himself up the road. Otherwise, it is going to be very difficult for him to try and win this race, especially with that penalty.
I mean, Aspect could go to the end of the race on those tyres, but given the pace at the top of the field, I don't think it is the smartest of ideas, as he would just drop down the order, I feel. So I think it is probably a safer idea to maybe do another 10 laps on these tyres and then head on to those softs for the final few laps and try and scythe your way back through. Josh, a little bit closer to Noah on this lap than on previous laps. So now here comes the interesting thing. On the softer compound, so should be faster tyres, a lap difference as well. Can, at the next DRS zone, he gets himself up into second and try and build a bit of a gap before his next pit stop?
It's going to
We'll
be
wait
crucial.
and see.
With that 3-second
Absolutely.
penalty, he needs to try and get past as soon as possible, but he is struggling
Poor exit.
in the dirty air. Very poor exit from the Williams driver. The dirty air is only compounding those issues, and he is going to be raging underneath that helmet. This was not the plan that Josh wanted to execute. I can see the idea he was going for, but that involves him getting past the Aston and running away with this, and that is not what is happening at the minute. As we now go lap 16 of 33, DRS for the Williams and ERS. Here we go then into turn one. Is there going to be enough of a gap down the inside? Josh is going to make one himself, and there's contact between the two drivers. I think that was a little bit of a late lunge from Josh there. Very, very late on the brakes. Luckily, no damage for the Williams driver, and this battle will ensue. But that is the first sort of heat-up point that we've seen between these two drivers. Long may it continue.
Very much seemed like, and I would like to know your opinion on this, it very much seemed like he didn't know whether to fully commit to the move into turn one or back out. So then you have a kind of half and half move there. And he's very lucky he didn't get any damage or spin off into the grass, because with a move like that, when you're not fully committed, it usually goes wrong. But he was fully committed to that one. They both go off track. Is he going to let him back through? He does. But this has now put Aspect right on the back of them. And potentially a three-way fight down into turn one. Aspect on those hards. A hard sandwich with Josh on the mediums in the middle. And DRS now down the main straight for both, I believe. So here we go again then. Round the outside. Inside didn't work last time. Outside has worked this time. It's P2 for Josh. And his Williams teammate, I'm sure, will get out of the way easy for him and slots right behind Josh P2. A very well worked move. Aspect onto the grass there. He's lost out. BT now onto the back of him.
Incredible stuff, and what a move it was for Josh into turn one, swooping round the outside. A lovely calculated move, learned from his mistakes. A lap ago, the inside didn't work, so he switched to the outside, and what a move it was from the Williams driver. Brilliant, brilliant stuff from Josh. great move, and he sees himself move up into second place. Dan Lovett has retired in the pit lane. That's quite interesting there from the Sauber driver. I do wonder if he had some sort of damage or something, but the Sauber driver will not continue in this race. He was only reserving, but that will harm Sauber in the constructors. But to turn one we go again, now with Noah. He is not gaining enough on the Williams driver to try and get past, and into turn one, nothing doing. Aspec is now ahead of the Williams back marker, as is BT into turn one. And what have you seen, Lewis?
I think I made a mistake there. I saw BT go right round the outside of someone and thought he'd gained a position because he went up one on my screen, but I don't believe he did. So apologies for getting your hopes up there. But I saw him in fifth and then move up to fourth with a lovely round the outside move on a lapped car. So you take what you can get.
Exactly. Beautiful overtake from the McLaren on,
bit of practice
on the lapped car, and maybe sizing himself up for a move on Aspect. Maybe that was the practice he needed, as he is gaining on the Red Bull driver. DRS for the McLaren. Nothing doing into the start of Sector 3, but he will have that DRS crucially through to turn one, and that is the prime overtaking place here around Catalonia. About a 5/10 gap. It's not going to be easy for BT, especially with the battery that he's got, but he is gaining on the Red Bull, and towards turn one we go. McLaren and Red Bull fight once more. Down the inside he goes, a massive contact between the two drivers. Aspect takes to the runoff. Will that allow BT through? It will not. But now, to the inside of turn four, the McLaren on the inside, Red Bull on the outside. Who's going to be latest on the brakes? It will be the McLaren. Is the switch back on for the Red Bull? It doesn't look like it. And BT finally gets his way through on Aspec. A bit of contact down into turn one. Aspec had to take the runoff, but now look, he's coming back at him. Very unorthodox place to overtake there. Nothing doing for the Red Bull. BT moves up into third, but Aspec will be coming back at him with the DRS. And is there going to be a move on as he now looks to the inside, later on the brakes? And again, there's more contact between them. I think that was a little bit more of Aspec's fault, just not turning the car in enough, slamming into the side pod of the McLaren. But this battle will ensue now down the main straight as we move on to lap 20, of 33, and this battle is really starting to heat up as on board with the Red Bull we are now, and towards the outside he looks, but no, he jockeys to the inside. It's reminiscent of Sebastian Vettel, the ex-Red Bull driver. And BT is now forced off, and should Aspec let BT through there? He definitely forced him off, but BT thinks, no, sod that. I'm taking the position myself. I don't want your pity. As down the inside he goes, wide goes Aspec. Lovely move from BT. He did not need the position giving back, and he moves back through into third place. What a battle we are seeing between BT and Aspec tonight.
No love lost between McLaren and Red Bull. They are going to fight as hard as they need to, and this is getting very feisty with 13 laps to go. And here they go again then. Aspec looking around the outside, can't get the move done there, and a poor exit from him allows BT just to gain a little bit further away. But this is just incredible, pushing the limits a couple of times, potentially over it. But I don't think this battle is going to be over yet. DRS.
Look who's behind them. Sorry to interrupt you, Lewis. This has really brought Mikey into it. Mikey is now in the fight. But to turn one we go again. BT defends the inside. Round the outside will go the Red Bull. They make contact again. And this time it's Aspec that goes off. But he keeps the position. And is he going to let him past? He does. Fair play from Aspec, letting him through when he knew he gained that illegally. But what a battle we are seeing tonight. Incredible stuff between third and fourth. And Mikey is now going to get involved with this as well. 15 lap old hards for Aspec, 7 lap old mediums for Mikey, 8 lap old hards for BT. And this battle is going to ensue, I hope, for the rest of the race.
We've said it a lot over the past couple of weeks, given the rich vein of form Mikey is in. If there is one person you don't want behind you or in your mirrors, it's Mikey. With his ability to side through the field, now what has been an incredible battle between these two may just become an all-time great moment for us here with this incredible trio of racers. As who was that aspect into the pits? So now the battle goes between the Haas and McLaren. Largely the same amount of ERS in, not really gaining is BT down into 1. And now we will see BT and Mikey for one of the first times, I think.
Exactly that, and Mikey managing to muscle his way through into
Here he goes,
third.
here he goes.
There goes
Sorry
BT
to interrupt you there. I
down
thought he would have him.
inside. Now to the outside goes the McLaren driver. Wheel-to-wheel action round Catalonia, and a great exit for BT, but an unorthodox overtaking place. He's going to look for it anyway round the outside. If he can pull this off, it'd be a lovely move.
Oh
and do
my
you know
word.
what? He has! Incredible move from BT round the outside. I can't believe what I've just seen. Beautiful stuff from the McLaren. Back up into third. Amazing.
That's one of the best overtakes we've seen from any tier here. Fantastic to place your car there at a sequence like that. Mikey now into the pits, he's bailed. And BT now looks to try and size down that gap as Josh has lost the lead to Noah.
Exactly that. Those tyres now starting to maybe give up a bit for Josh, and he still is going to have to come into the pits, and that will lose him a hell of a lot of positions, potentially even losing a place to Aspect.
This is an incredible advert. If you want to be a part of this, how can you not want to be after this? Every single position on the track being fought for. We have a Mercedes who... Oh no, I believe he was letting someone through.
Yeah, that was
now
the lapped car of Big Bruiser. And Noah and Josh continue to lead the way as we now look towards the penalties. Josh has 3 seconds. We've then got BT on 6 seconds. Rendog on 10. Arrays on 16. Big Bruiser and Paul Codd on 3. And Meldrum on 12. And we know how crucial they can be. But Noah and Josh both into the pits.
Wow. Here we go then. BT takes the lead.
And that's the thing, will they be able to catch BT in time? Lap 24 of 33 here. Yes, he's got the 6-second penalty. What tyres are they going on to? Josh onto mediums. Noah onto mediums. Josh onto softs. So this battle is not over yet as Aspect sets the final lap of the race and is right behind them. So Aspect, who looked completely out of this race, is now right back into it. Right behind the rear wing of Josh. And you just could not call a winner here. Noah is 5 seconds off of I Have No Grip. Then you've got Rendog, who is 6.5 seconds ahead of that. Then you've got Race Chase, who is 4 seconds ahead of that. Then you've got BT, who leads. So 3 drivers all looking for a major undercut. Then you've got BT, who chooses to stay out. You've got a few drivers in between that are going to hold these guys up. I could not call a winner if I tried.
I said earlier, this very much felt like Hungary 2019. And I forgot, Spain 2021, exactly this track. It is now just like that. Of BT, either he has that dynamic of either pushing to build a gap and burning out your tyres even quicker, or trying to save your tyres but allow Josh and Noah, if they can, to catch you. But if you're in Josh's position, there is nobody you want to see behind your mirror, in your mirrors, more than Aspect, right? Or less than Aspect right now, because we've seen how quick he is, and you see there Josh is absolutely desperate to get on with this, because on those soft tyres, he's the one under the most pressure here. He has the quicker tyres, so he believes he should be the one that goes and wins this race. And he's actually going to end up losing out here as Aspect onto the grass. Did Josh force him off there? It very much looked like it from the onboard angle I had.
I unfortunately was on board with Aspect, and it did look like he was forced off a little bit there, and the Williams driver really should take accountability for that one. But the fight still ensues between Josh and Noah as they look to try and gain their way back up the field. But the issue is they don't have many laps to do so. So who is going to win out in this one? You just couldn't call it, as Josh already having breaks of traction on those soft compound tyres. It's just so hard to call.
I think if I had to say right now, I would think BT looks to be in the strongest position. But as we get to those last 5, 4, 3 laps, that could very much change. Can he manage those tyres and still have the pace to fend off those behind him? Very, very intriguing if you're in BT's mind here. But if you're in Josh's mind, you must be absolutely furious.
Well, the issue is BT has a 6-second penalty, which would currently drop him to 3rd. And he's got a lap older tyres than Race Chase. He wouldn't have to worry about Rendog. He's got a 10-second time penalty. Make that a 4-second time penalty with BT's 6 seconds. So he's clear from Rendog. But Race Chase is technically in the race lead here.
Absolutely. And I'm sure he will be seeing what's happened in previous races, knowing that if he can just keep his pace, he can 100% win this race.
The interesting thing is I think Race Chase is reserving, because it's telling me that the lineup for Sauber is Lewis and Mr. Jabe. Neither of those drivers here tonight. So the Sauber driver may be on for a win as a reserve. Rendog is actually gaining on BT because he's on 9-lap-old medium tyres. I don't think BT's in a great position here.
Difficult to call. It's very much a sector-by-sector thing. But I very much trust your intuition here. This could unravel. And it would be very unlucky for BT, as he hasn't put a foot wrong here.
Josh still stuck behind Noah. And he is going to be frustrated on those soft compound tyres. 3 laps on them. 6 laps to go. He's really going to be annoyed now as Noah is coming up to the back of I Have No Grip. And I believe there's a couple of lapped cars in front of I Have No Grip. So I believe they're both going to have DRS as the Mercedes gets out of the way for them. Noah's going to have DRS. I Have No Grip's going to have DRS. So is Josh, but barely. So I Have No Grip now looks to get past the lapped car. He negotiates that perfectly. Noah is going to have to sit behind the Alpine for a little longer. And Josh has completely fallen off of them.
I think Josh will be absolutely fuming. I think it was a bold idea to go on to softs, given how quick tyres burn up around here. And you see him just making slight mistakes, and that's pulling him even further away from the drivers he wants to be with. And this is all unraveling for Josh. It looked so promising at the start, and now it's not looking good.
It is a tale of what could have been for a lot of drivers. You know, you look at someone like BT. What could have he done without the penalties? Aspec, he went round. He had the 5-place grid penalty. What if he started from pole? Sean, who looked so good, retired on lap 8. So many drivers will have their head in their hands tonight as they realise what could have been. Aspec picks up a 3-second time penalty, and Rendog is really coming at BT here for the lead. Into turn 1 we go. The outside the Ferrari elects to choose, and there's contact between them. Rendog is sent into a spin. Race Chase is now right on the back of him, and BT, we've seen him be aggressive tonight. Was that maybe a step over the line?
I'm not too sure. From the angle I saw, I was on board with Ferrari quite late, and all I saw was the spin, so I didn't necessarily see any contact. But that will be a warning sign for BT that they are there. And
Noah,
it looks
sorry
like
to
it's
interrupt
unraveling
you,
for
Lewis.
him.
Noah managed to get past I have no grip. Josh is now doing the same. And Aspec looking for the opportunist move and does it as well. But Josh really went offline there, and Aspec is coming at him. We saw those two make contact a few laps ago. Aspec, with great race pace, has managed to catch back up and is now putting pressure on the Williams driver, looking to promote himself up into 5th. And the Red Bull, we've seen how quick he can be. He is absolutely flying. Noah has absolutely ran away from the two of these and will be looking to reel in Race Chase and Rendog. But with DRS, that is going to be difficult for him because Race Chase does have the DRS on the Ferrari driver. Aspec has now managed to get past Josh and up into 5th, and I have no grip is still on the back of that train. But for BT, this is all falling apart now. Rendog will inevitably drop down because of his 10-second penalty, but this is all falling away for BT.
Absolutely. Like you say, you just can't call the winner because the amount of times we've seen, or you would think a certain winner looks like the favourite, something happens and it unravels. So if you're in Race Chase's position, even though there's only 3 laps left, you are very much holding your nerve just on the chance something might happen to you. But like we said, you just can't call it at the moment, can you?
Exactly that. Noah is bringing the gap down between himself and Race Chase and is, I believe, doing enough as we look to the gap to the leader. He is just about in that 6-second window that he needs to be to try and take the win away from BT. Race Chase is technically currently sat in the best position and would inherit that lead from BT anyway. But Noah, with the medium tyres, is bringing that gap down all the time and is doing a great job if he wants to try and win this race.
So now the attention turns. Can Race Chase hold on to it? Because I don't think he's actively trying to overtake Rendell because he doesn't need to, does he? So why take the risk?
Exactly that. He can just use the DRS to try and pull himself away from Noah for as long as possible. About 2.5 laps to go now in this Grand Prix. Noah's chasing, but Race Chase is really working well, to be completely honest. And he is doing enough to see himself win this Grand Prix.
A professional last few laps from him here, I think, is what is going to have won him the race because instead of trying to push to win it on track, he's done the smart thing and realised that although it might not be as entertaining to watch, it's the smart thing to do early on in this tier to get the win is a big achievement. So I think most of us in his position would do the same thing.
Completely agreed. But is Noah bringing that gap down enough as we're now on to the penultimate lap of the race? And that looked like the lapped Aston Martin of a race got in the way of Race Chase. But I think he's brake tested his teammate. As yes, Noah has damage. So suddenly the pendulum swings to Race Chase after being brake tested by his lapped teammate.
And he's
what
off.
What am I seeing?
Oh, wait, no. Sorry, the Aston Martin was off. The other one.
Noah is now 4 seconds behind Race Chase. Race Chase doesn't have any damage. Noah does. Noah might be on the quicker tyres, but that damage is going to affect him. And we've only got about a lap and a quarter to go of this Grand Prix now. And Race Chase is looking brilliant. I have commentated many races in NRRL. I have never seen this man win. A maiden victory for Race Chase in the inaugural round of the Super League. One driver that, to be honest, Lewis, has gone completely under the radar. We didn't expect him to win before the race. We didn't really expect anything from him after qualifying. I mean, if we look to the position change, he is up 9 places from the start as we now move on to the final lap of this Grand Prix, and Noah sees if he can set his sights on Race Chase for one final time. But is there going to be enough of a gap? I don't think there is. 6/10 Race Chase has to Rendog. 2.5 seconds that Noah needs to gain, and he isn't gaining. So the Sauber, who I have never even seen in the contention for the win, has had such an under-the-radar race, is on point for a maiden victory in the inaugural round of the Super League. I said it in qualifying. You want to get your foot down and make people fear you. He is going to take the lead of the championship in the Super League. What an incredible battle we have had all throughout, and the Super League has set Catalonia on fire tonight. Spain is renowned for bull racing and bulls chasing the red flag. Well, chasing the checkered flag today has been the Sauber, and for the first time ever in NRRL, Race Chase wins the Spanish Grand Prix. It is Noah who will come across the line to take second place. BT will finish on the last step of the podium. I have no grip in fourth, with Mikey in fifth. Aspec in 6th after a torrid race for the Red Bull driver. Rendog finishes 7th, Josh in 8th, BP Ace in 9th, with Jokies in 10th, the Rays 11th, Big Bruiser 12th, Meldrum 13th, with Paul Cod 14th, Dan Lovett, Sean and Kevin Baker failing to reach the flag. But what a win for Race Chase. Take a bow, young man. Failing to reach the flag. But what a win for Race Chase. Now, we're going to pass it over. For the first time ever, we have a post-race interview, again, with our owner, Dan Lovett. So, Dan, welcome back. Commiserations to you on the race. Obviously, retiring after picking up damage in your Sauber. Now, I'm first going to come to you with a question. Just overall, as the owner of the league, how do you think this event fared as the inaugural round of the Super League?
I'm happy. I think qualifying for me just sort of confirmed what I thought. I think only one of the Tier 1 drivers didn't qualify in the top 10. He actually ended up winning the race. So yeah, I think you've got to look at qualifying. I think looking overall as well. I'll go through the results, but everything seemed to work out quite well. So I'm happy. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, up and down the grid, it was incredibly close and the battles were feisty and fierce, and that's what you want in league racing. But obviously, as well as being the owner, you are also a driver. You were reserving tonight for Sauber. Obviously, not the ideal end result that you wanted, but you had a great first couple of laps. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, there's some fast boys driving tonight. I didn't, sort of qualified, just above the middle of the pack, got away well. And then, I think someone come out of the pits and they lost the back end as I was trying to go around and just sort of, I'll look at the footage later, but a wing come off and made a rookie mistake of not replacing the wing as I went in. So race was over. It is what it is. I was reserving tonight. I'm glad, really. I got to see the back end of the race and watch it live. So it worked out well. And I think my reserve teammate as well in the Sauber ended up picking up the win. So it all worked out quite nice.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, was he reserving as well, Race Chase?
Yeah, so we had a couple of last-minute changes just for this week, hopefully. So myself and Race Chase, Connor Beattie, had to jump in and reserve last minute. But the difference in this league is that reserves will score, so they will receive points, and hopefully the full-time drivers will be back next week to join back up. Brilliant.
Well, thank you very much, Dan, for not only hosting us, but for your post-race interview. My name has been JP, your commentator. Alongside me has been Lewis. An incredible opening round to the Super League tonight. If you are interested, drop a follow down below. This is the only place that you can watch NRRL live. We will be back tomorrow. Coming soon, 7 days of racing action. Make sure you're following. Follow us on YouTube for the streams uploaded to YouTube after the race. Thank you very much to everyone for watching, and we will see you tomorrow. Take care.